Right, I've procrastinated about this for long enough. Let's see if we can get the old girl back on the road. Right, here we go. This is the work that needs doing. So, if you followed along my last video when I was out riding this bike, taking it for MOT, if you could hear it, granted the sound was pretty terrible, it failed its MOT. And it failed on two things: rear shock absorbers aren't absorbing shocks, basically, and excessive play in the swing arm. Now, the garage made it quite clear that they didn't want to do the work. They said they can do it, but getting parts for this was going to be a pain in the arse. In the end, it wasn't. I actually got the parts in a few days, but they made it clear they didn't want to do it. Fine, whatever. I'll do it myself. So, I've got the parts. They're up in the house. We'll go and get them in a minute. We need to disassemble it. So, I need to get the swing arm out and the shock absorbers off as well. It's a bit cramped in here, but it's blowing a gale and it's absolutely freezing outside. It's January when I'm filming this. Not a lot I can do. We're going to have to do it inside. Now, I would really like to be able to do this without breaking the chain. And by breaking it, I mean having to press the links out and undo it. Just because the last time I did that, it was a pain in the arse, and I'm not entirely sure where my chain tool is right now. Having a look at it, it should be reasonably simple. There's sort of 3 points of attaching: top of the shock absorber, obviously the rear axle itself, and then where it joins with the chassis at the front here. The exhaust is mounted to the chassis itself, so that should stay there. We need to undo the rear brake and then see if we can get it off. If I have to put a new chain on, then I will. Fine. But that's what we need to do to get it through its MOT. The parts came from a Suzuki GZ125, which, according to my research, is what this bike is based on. Lifan basically licensed the design of the GZ from Suzuki, and then they just change bits about it. Like, this is the cruiser style one, so you get different forks, different tank, etc. They do a sports one where you get a fairing on it, but underneath it's the same bike every single time. I've never actually tried Suzuki GZ parts on this. They've arrived, I've offered them up, they look the same. They look to be slightly better quality perhaps. They're not rusty like these ones are, but we're just going to have to see. One of the things the garage said to me was they might take it apart, try the parts, they don't fit, and then I've just got a bike in bits and they're just going to give me the bits of it back rather than put it back together. This could happen here. I could take this apart, these parts that I've ordered don't fit, and then it's just going to stay like this forever, and this video ends up being a two-parter, or maybe more. In other news, while she's been sat here, it's been a couple of months she's been sat here now, the starter motor's packed up. I don't know what's wrong with it, but I thought before I start the video I would start her up and just see if she's alright, because she hasn't been on a battery pack or anything. All the electrics work, lights, headlights, horn, all that sort of thing, and it starts fine on the kickstart, but the starter motor just does not engage. You press the button and nothing happens, so I don't know if that's wiring, relay, the starter. The battery voltage is showing around about 12 volts, so I would still expect it to turn over, but that's going to have to be for another video. It might end up going to its MOT on kickstart only, and I'll deal with that later. Right now, first part of this video, we need to get this taken apart. There's only one way of doing it really. Just start undoing stuff and see what comes off. Yeah, let's get on with it. Yes, that's right. I've got myself a boiler suit. Every real man needs a boiler suit. It's like basically the law. Let's see, where are my spanners? Now, I'm well aware that getting stuff off from the other side is going to be a pain in the arse as well. I would like to have the bike in the middle of the shed, but it'd mean putting the Virago outside, and I don't really want to do that, so we'll just have to struggle. Now, there shouldn't be any load on these springs and shocks because the bike is on its centre stand, and so the weight is lifted completely off. We will still go a little gently as we undo it, just in case it decides to try and kill me. Oh, that's not done up very tightly at all. Fairly sure I've mentioned this in previous videos, definitely in my car videos. Whenever I do a project and stuff is coming off, I have these little toolboxes. These were from Wilko, but you can buy them anywhere. They were £2, and you just put all your nuts and bolts in there, and then you know you've got them. Right, just come sideways, perhaps. No, I bet we're gonna have to undo the bottom one. Right. I was hoping it would come off whole, but never mind. Oh, and I can't get to that because the exhaust is in the way. Let's try the other side. Oh, fuck me. Oh, that wouldn't want to go. It's just rounding off the fucking bolt. Piss. This is going well. I've undone one fucking nut. Yeah, that one's the same. Okay, well, this is going well so far. Yeah, there we go. Bit of brute force. Put that in my little toolbox. That might be useful later. So it might be interesting later to see if we can get the spring off of this and see just how, see what the shock absorbers are actually doing. I'm unsure how we actually tested them. Anyway, we'll stick with this side. Let's slacken the axle off as well. As I'm doing this, I can feel all this chrome just peeling away. Normally when chrome peels, it's sharp. This is just thin dust. It's like paint. Maybe I should have removed the exhaust after all. What I would really like to do before... oh well, so is just get her through her MOT. The exhausts do kind of ruin the look of the bike though. I mean, granted, it's not exactly a looker anyway. Everyone who looks at it immediately sees it and goes, oh, Lifan, oh, Chinese. Still a lot of snobbery around Chinese bikes, I think, but... There's the axle undone. Let's undo the back brake as well, shall we? Got these nice little ratchet spanners now. Can't remember how much they were. I think about 20 quid for a set of 5, 6. And they have really transformed it. Stuff like this, just a little thing like that, so easy to undo. Okay, right. So the axle is undone, although it's still in place. This shock absorber is off. Let's get the shock absorber off the other side and then pull the axle out, and then it only leaves this part here. Behind this little cover is where the swing arm attaches. It is a little concerning how loose these nuts were at the top of my shock absorbers. Well, so we can safely say there was no load on these, because as soon as I undid the other one, the whole fucking lot of it's just dropped. Yeah, they now just flop out of the way. Right, let's pop this little cover off. As far as I can tell, the mounting point for the entire swing arm is behind this little plastic thing. Let's see if we can just pop it off. Turns out we can. And it turns out we can find the correct size socket on the first attempt as well. And it fits perfectly. Look at that.
Nice.
Now, come on. It's definitely coming loose. All right. There we go. that is identical to the axle one. It's interesting. Obviously this one's still got its pin on it because the axle one's been off before, but right, that won't push straight out. That's sod's law. I am deeply concerned. Why is this going so well? And that is what holds the swing arm in. A little bit of wear there. Don't know if that would have been enough to make it fail MOT. And from memory, although I haven't taken it out yet, that is almost identical to the axle. Which makes sense, really. If you can use a part twice on a bike rather than having two different parts, it's going to save you a bit of money. And here's another top tip. Keep parts together where you can. Now, the new swing arm does come with this, but I'll keep this anyway, just in case. Because we're still not 100% sure all these parts are going to fit. Right, that has come completely loose. I just want to try and get the back axle out, and then it's free. Oh, you know what else I've forgotten? The chain guard. Fuck! Never mind, the chain guard is only attached to the swing arm. I don't need to undo that. Right. I need a proper hammer. Where are my nice hammers? How do I not have a hammer down here? I remember this from last time. The axle just did not want to come out. I really probably should have got the axle out before undoing the swing arm, but I've done it now, so we're committed. I think last time I ended up using a breaker bar to get this axle out. It just does not want to budge. Let's just try. Before anyone says anything, I have absolutely no fucking idea where my hammers have gone. Like, all my hammers are missing. Wait, am I being incredibly thick here? Probably. Right. Chain tensioners are fully slackened off. The whole thing rattles around like mad, but I still can't get the fucking axle out. Getting hot now. Fuck me, that was more effort than it needed to be. But it is out. Turns out the key to getting the axle out is just to hit it harder. Go find a hammer and do it. But then once that was out, I was able to wrangle the wheel off, which is over there. And the chain is still intact. You basically just had to thread it around the swing arm. Right. Like I said, that was way more effort than it needed to be. I am going to go have a cup of tea and something to eat. And then we're going to get the other parts down and offer them up. Hopefully, they all look the same. couple of cups of tea and some grub and a night's sleep. It's actually the next day, never mind. This is what we're looking at. This is the old one, that's the new-ish one. It's not new at all, but it's new to me. Lining them up side by side, this is actually the first time I've done this for this video. It's been in a box for a couple of weeks in the conservatory, and I've just sort of worried about it instead. The similarity is remarkable. I'm actually really quite confident with this. There's a few differences here and there, besides the fact that this one is in so much better condition than this one, despite that being older than this one. I'm actually quite confident putting this in. I'm still cautious. I still think I'm going to offer it up and it's just not going to fit, but I'm quite confident in this. This is going to be good. The main bit that worries me is at the top here. This old one has this sort of, it's not a dent, but it goes in here, whereas the new one doesn't. It does a little, but not nearly as much. Now that's not broken. The other side is the same. It's just that this rubber guard is in the way. See? Now, is that going to cause an issue? I shouldn't think so. I really hope not. But is there potential that the chassis, the frame of the bike, is meant to slot there, and that's going to foul it, I'm not going to get it in? I mean, the idea of a Chinese bike being built to such tight tolerances doesn't seem realistic, but then again, like I say, they probably had a frame and wanted to make stuff fit to it, so they modified the design rather than modifying the design of the frame. These bikes are built on a budget. But yeah, that's the main thing that's concerning me. Other bits, I mean, we look at the top of the new shock absorber and compare it to this one. Yeah, there's a little bit of a difference, but again, not much. Interestingly, this seems to be thicker here at this neck than the new one, but again, this is probably better quality steel. And yeah, and the chain guard, that is identical. And then this bar here, which is for adjusting the rear brake as you go over bumps, that's identical as well. I'm pretty confident. Let's just get on with it, see what happens. Alright, one day I'll have a bit more space in here. Now the plan is to reuse as many of the Suzuki parts as I can. For obvious reasons, they're obviously of better quality than the ones I have on it. I've also need to look up the weight of this bike, or how many parts do I have to replace by weight before it's more than 50% Suzuki and I can call it a Suzuki. That's what I'm going with. If I get to 51% by weight, it's officially a Suzuki. That's what I've decided. And if you don't like it, be mad at the internet about it. Right, do that. That slides out nicely. See, that just sliding that out feels a lot better. It feels like a firmer fit. The other ones had undone the bolt, it pretty much just came out. Now, I'm aware that I probably could have fixed this by replacing these bushings, but fuck it, I've done it now, and this is a much nicer part. But if this doesn't fit, what I will do is take the bushings out and put them in the old swing arm, and then just see if it will go through its MOT then. I don't really see that I have much of a choice. So let's get this lined up. I want to remove this back axle. And because I haven't broken the chain, what we do is we feed one limb of this through the chain. Like that. There we go. Oh, that's fallen out. And now, the fucking annoying part. I have to lift this heavy piece of metal up and line it up with that hole, and then get the bolt through. We're going to use the Suzuki one, just cause. Come on, why won't you go in? Ah, it doesn't fit. Fuck's sake.
For fuck's sake!
Right, I'll show you the problem. In there, the pivot point, the little bit with the bushes in, is too wide. For whatever reason, Lifan have decided to make the bit on the swing arm thinner and then add a bit to the frame. So it just doesn't fit. It will not physically go in that spot. That is hugely disappointing, because I don't really know where I'm going to go from here. Fuck. I need a break from this. I've been well aware since starting this process that all I probably need is the bushes, not the entire swing arm. But I couldn't for the life of me find the bushes. I had it on good authority that that swing arm should fit, and it doesn't. And making it fit, either cutting a piece off that or a piece off the frame, seems like a terrible idea, even if I had the tools to do something like that. I really don't want to give up on this bike. I like it. I really like it, but if I can't get it back on the road, I don't know what to do. Right. Okay, so at this point, I locked everything up, went inside, and had a good long think about what I was going to do with it. Because at this point, I honestly didn't know if I was going to be able to fix this bike. Now, I've had a few sources for parts over the years of owning this bike. Unfortunately, on this occasion, they were letting me down. My first port of call is East End Motorcycles, where I've bought parts from before. He used to be a Lifan dealer, but unfortunately he didn't have them. To be just selling off his old stock in his retirement, and doesn't really care too much either, so I've kind of stopped using him. Also, a while ago, I had a chap contact me through the comment section on a previous video. He had a Lifan King that he was working on, he was restoring it, but he also had a second Lifan King that he was using as a parts bike. I got in touch with him, seeing if he had the swing arm. Unfortunately, he'd since got rid of both bikes and gone on to bigger and better things, which is disappointing. I'd have had both bikes off him, but never mind. So my only option really was to just keep trawling the internet and see if I could find something. And that's when I came across, just by chance, this eBay shop here, China Parts Online. Now, I swear to God this didn't exist when I started this project, back when it first failed its MOT. But, I mean, it's great. You know, I put in the model code in the search bar, and they've got 144 results for this. And, yeah, I can get an entire carburetor if I ever needed one. Fuel filter. I mean, some of these I could get generic ones for. I could get a generic fuel filter. Carburetor repair kit. But crucially, swing arm bushes. Yeah, that's what I need. I wish I'd found this before starting this little project, because I could have saved myself a lot of time and money. But, I mean, there's all sorts on here. There's CDI units. Look, I can get inlet and exhaust valves, sprockets, and get another fuel filter. All sorts on here. And it's really giving me hope that I should be able to keep this bike going. Look at that, and get a heavy duty chain. That's probably going to be my next repair, because the chains don't seem to last very long on this bike. Top gasket set, and get clutch plates. Yeah, this is great. So, I ordered them bushes, and yeah, this is what happened next. Okay, new plan. It's been a little while. I've got some more parts for it. They weren't especially difficult to find, and they arrived quite quickly, but I've been procrastinating, so unfortunately it's been a while. Now, that swing arm does not fit. It may be possible to make it fit. I do know someone who's extremely good at metalwork. They may be able to modify the end. We'll keep that in reserve for now. I haven't actually asked them. They may tell me it's not possible. I don't know. That doesn't fit. Let's put that to one side for now. Bit more research, and I may have gone down the wrong path here. They've put on the MOT certificate excessive play in the swing arm. That's all they've put. But doing some research, the swing arm probably isn't the problem. It's more likely the bushes and the pin, you know, the whopping great bolt, that thing that goes through the bike and holds it in place. The pin that I took out, it had a few little marks on it. I couldn't really see very much wrong with it. But the bushes may well be knackered. I mean, the whole thing is really... I mean, it's over 10 years old now and it's Chinese. What do you expect? So, I've got some bushes. The pin is available from a Lifan dealer. I could get one. I haven't, though. I want to try and use the Suzuki one. Put that back together, and hopefully that will eliminate the play in the swing arm. And I still want to use the Suzuki shock absorbers. I still think they should fit on the Lifan swing arm. If not, again, there are other options available. I'm sure I can find some generic shocks that will fit, but they're going to be quite a bit more expensive. You can get those fancy sports type ones. So that's what I'm going to try and do today. Get the old swing arm back, somehow get the bushes out of it. They look to be rusted in rather nicely. And get it back together. With a bit of luck, if I can do it today, I may even get it in for its MOT. It's January at the moment, and a lot of the bike garages aren't busy at all. If not, I'm off work tomorrow as well, so I'm really hoping this bike will be back on the road today or tomorrow. It's Monday at the moment when I'm filming it. But I'm also kind of expecting this could go wrong again, and I'm trying to get this video out. It's due out in a week's time. Fuck. Right, let's get on with it. Also, if you notice a noise in the background on this section of the video, it's because it's frigging cold in here, so I bought myself a fan heater. Live with it. Now, just having a look at the swing arm. This is the Lifan one, obviously. It's a mess. I mean, the main thing is not so much the rust, but the paint. This is cheap and nasty paint, and it's just flaking off. And of course, then you get surface rust. None of this looks to be so bad that it's compromising it. It is just surface rust, but it looks terrible. I mean, it's filthy as well, which doesn't help. But, I mean, yeah, just look at that. It just comes off. Half of it is already on my floor now. This is bad. At some point, I'm going to have my workshop finished. And part of that, I want to have a small spray booth in there. So, in the future, this is going to come back off. And it's going to go into the booth and be properly sprayed down and everything. For now, though, I just really want to get my bike back on the road. The workshop is going to take months to finish, and I don't really want my bike to be in this state for that length of time. I want it back on the road. I want to be able to use it, because I really like riding this bike. That's why I'm putting all this bloody work in. However, I think what I'm going to do is strip this, get rid of the shock absorbers. This rubber chain guide is considerably more worn than the one on the Suzuki, and get the bushes out, obviously, strip it down, and I'm going to go out to my local motor factors and get some K-rust, the stuff that just converts it back to black metal, and that I'll have to do for now, until I can get it properly sprayed down. So, yeah, let's get it stripped, and then we're going to pop out and see what we can buy. Let's get the shock absorbers off first. Almost the same size bolt. Wonder if they're like a size down. I hope that doesn't make them difficult to attach to the Suzuki suspension. Suppose I'll find out. Needless to say, this bolt isn't coming out nearly as easily. You know, changing all these nuts and bolts for ones that aren't rusted to fuck will probably do this bike a world of good as well. go. Now, hopefully I get this on camera. That is a world of difference. Not sure it's meant to look like that. Good. The bottom bolt from the Lifan suspension does fit through the hole on the Suzuki suspension. It's looking good for that part of it anyway. Right, let's undo this one. Also, I was wrong. The nuts are welded to the swing arm on the Lifan as the same as the Suzuki. That's number 2. They can go on the wall of failed parts later, which is getting rather full. Now this bit is interesting. This is where the rear brake cable goes. It sort of comes through this way and the brake is back here. Obviously it clips in there. That bit is missing. There should be a little hook that screws onto there. It's on the Suzuki one, so that's another part that can be transferred across. I think we'll get this arm off as well. That's another size bolt again. Oh, and it's a weird captive nut which again is the same as the Suzuki. Right. There we are, that's off. That's not actually in as bad a condition as I thought. Not even close. Right, we'll put that to one side. Right, and then it's just the chain guard to come off. Well, now that's interesting. I'm filming this on the day of Donald Trump's inauguration because America decided it wasn't fucked enough already. Joe Biden has issued preemptive pardons for several figures threatened with criminal prosecutions. In a statement, the White House says that the preemptive pardons are for officers that testified at the House Select Committee as well as the committee's members and staff. The committee investigated the 6th of January 2021 riot at the US Capitol and Trump's role in the day's events. It looks like it's all just people who criticised Trump. Wonderful. One of them's called Millie, previously said he was concerned about being called back into uniform because he's now retired and court-martialed by the Trump administration. He noted that Steve Bannon, a key Trump ally, has vowed to hold him accountable. These public servants have served our nation with honour and distinction and do not deserve to be the targets of unjustified and politically motivated prosecutions. The issuance of these pardons should not be mistaken as an acknowledgement that any individual engaged in any wrongdoing, nor should acceptance be misconstrued as an admission of guilt for any offence. It really is concerning. I mean, the first time Trump was elected, it was concerning. But he was a fucking idiot. And he was just a joke. And people just waiting for him to leave. Now he's back again for some fucking reason.
Somehow Palpatine returned.
He feels dangerous this time. And I think the whole world knows it as well. I think it's going to be a really tough 5 years. I really do hope that the American democratic system is able to just neuter him. As in, anything he tries to do just won't get through Congress, like, at all. We've already seen some rebellion from his own party. People voting against him because he's just completely off the fucking rails. He doesn't have universal support in his own party. But stuff like that, preemptive pardons, I've never heard of them before. So they're pardoning someone because they expect them to be prosecuted in a political move by the incoming administration. That is fucking mental. That is absolutely insane. Right, let's carry on. There we are, that's the chain guard off. That, surprisingly, isn't in that bad of a condition. Most of this is dirt. However, I still think the Suzuki one is better. But it's hard to say. They are, again, however, identical. The Suzuki one, though, seems to have more crud on the inside. And it's oily as well. I reckon someone has been majorly over-oiling their chain on their Suzuki GZ. Anywho. Right, let's get this off, and then we've just got to get the bushes out, and then we'll go get the K-rust. That is also considerably worn out. Now, this is the hard part. How am I going to get these out? In theory, they will just push out. In practice, I think I'm going to have to hammer them. The Suzuki pin, though, does at least fit all the way through quite nicely. That's a positive. And it is the same length as the Lifan one as well. I think I may reuse that. The only difference is there's slightly more thread on the Suzuki one. Okay. Right. Let's see if we can do it this way. Let's just try a hammer. These ain't budging at all. The correct tool for this would be a hydraulic press to push them out, but I don't have one, nor do I know anyone who has one, at least not locally anyway. Alright, time for a break. Right, I've had a bit of a break, and I've sort of been tinkering away. Not tinkering, tinkering's the wrong word. I've been hammering away at these bushes off camera because I don't need 30 minutes worth of footage of me just trying to bash a bush out. I think I'm going to need a hydraulic press. I'm not going to go out and buy one just to do one job. I do believe in buying tools as and when you need them and trying to always have money for tools and getting the best you can. Adam Savage on Mythbusters taught me that. But a hydraulic press is just too much. However, I have noticed something. The old bushes are still in, obviously. This is the new pin. How much fucking play is in that? I think that might have been what he was on about. Because if I put this pin, or even the old pin, in the new bushes, there's not nearly as much play. So it looks like the bushes might be the issue. At least I'm on the right track. I just need to find access to a hydraulic press. Fuck's sake. This video is going to be a two-parter. I apologise. I hate doing two-parters. They just feel like they're way too long. And I like to get each task done in a video. It's just how I like to do it. I just don't like spreading videos over multiple parts. But unfortunately, it's going to be that way. 2 cups of tea later and trying to think of the best way to get these bushes out. Hammering away at them is not going to work. I could just really whack away at them, but I risk damaging the swing arm, which I don't want to do. I kind of want to do this properly. There's 2 ways of approaching it. Well, there's a third way, which someone suggested using a hole saw to cut the rubber out, and then using a jigsaw to cut the bloody metal ring out. No, that just seems... Just no, not doing that. That's too dodgy even for me. But there seems to be 2. A hydraulic press or a bush removal tool. Hydraulic presses, not nearly as expensive as I thought they were going to be. For a tool that will probably only ever get used once by me, I don't need anything that expensive. I try and buy the best tool I can afford if it's going to be something I use a lot. Like, say, that socket set up there. Costs me a lot for the number of sockets that are in there, but I use it quite a lot, so I want good ones. But removing these bushes, I may not do it again for another 10 years, so I'm happy with cheap tools to use once. I can get a hydraulic press brand new off eBay for 70 quid, a 6-ton press. Couldn't fucking believe that. Or I can get a bush removal tool for 15 quid from B&Q of all places, which surprised me. But that's on order. It probably won't arrive tomorrow. It's going to arrive on Wednesday when I'm back at work, which means this is going to be delayed again, and I just don't see any way of me getting it done and all the video edited on time for February's video. So it's going to be a two-parter. The upside of this being a two-parter, mind, I'm going to try and do a more thorough job. It's going to buy me that extra time. So part 1 will be February. Part 2, let's assume that's going to be March. Rather than putting it together, putting it through its MOT, let's try and get that swing arm done properly. So that swing arm, once I get the bushes out, I'm going to de-rustify it. You could say get all that manky paint off, get it treated. In an ideal world, I would have it powder coated. I'm going to look at quotes for getting that done, but I may just end up spraying it instead. I mean, it's already painted. I think I can do a pretty reasonable job, and I've always wanted to learn how to spray paint, so, you know, I'm going to go down that route. Let's do it properly. I'm going to stop worrying about getting it on the road, because I still have the Virago, which has a valid MOT on it, and it's just a great bike in much better condition than this. I'm going to go down that road. This bike is unfortunately going to be off the road a lot longer than I thought, but I'm going to do a proper job. I've made that decision. That's what I'm going to do. For today, however, there's not much more I can do until that tool arrives. I think what I'll do, we'll do a bit of tidying up here in the workshop, and I'm going to do some work on the exterior workshop that I keep mentioning. I need to lay the floor and start building the walls, because it ain't going to build itself. So let's time-lapse it, tidy all this bollocks up, and I guess I'll see you in part 2.
Hello, my darling. Okay, I'm coming up.
Thank you for watching this video on doing stuff and filming it. Please don't forget to press the big button here in the middle to subscribe if you haven't already done so. If you liked what you just saw, please click the like button below and leave a comment letting me know what you liked about it. And as always, thank you for watching.